Hey guys, welcome to another episode of The Vinyl Den, your channel for record collecting by record collectors. I'm Nick.
I'm Ian.
Today we're talking about some great female-fronted bands. There's a bunch of links down below. Make sure you go check them out. There's links for the Vinyl Den Facebook group, for the merch page, for the Spotify and Apple Music playlists we put together every week, and the Patreon page. Make sure you go check all that out. Of course, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give us the old thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified every time we release new episodes. So over the last couple of decades, there's been a bunch of really great female-fronted bands that, for one reason or another, I don't think quite reached the level of popularity that some other bands do. Today we're kind of talking about some of our favorite ones. For me personally, the first one I want to talk about is one that it's a more recent band. Over the last 10 years, I think they've been doing music. They've released 4 studio albums. Everything that they've done so far is absolutely fantastic. Their latest album, Death by Rock and Roll, has been one of my favorite albums over the last couple of years. The band is Pretty Reckless, fronted by Taylor Momsen, who did she was in The Grinch. What year did that with Jim Carrey come out? Early 2000s. So if you're familiar with The Grinch, that's who their lead singer is.
No, she's the little girl.
She's no longer the little girl, though. Now she's the...
You mean people grow up in age? What world are you living in?
But they've released 4 studio albums. If you haven't checked them out yet, I definitely recommend them.
One that I came up with, and it wasn't hard. This was like the first, when I saw the show notes, first one popped into my head, Heart. They're still rocking. They're working on a new album right now. And if you've never heard their rendition of Stairway to Heaven,
it's good.
During the some
awards.
So Led Zeppelin had gotten an award.
If you go on YouTube and look it up, Heart, Stairway to Heaven, you'll find the video.
Fantastic version. Jason Bonham on drums. It's fantastic. And you go back and their catalog is way more than just Barracuda.
Yeah.
And they stand out as probably one of the preeminent hard rock chick bands.
Yeah, I think they paved the way for a lot of other female bands, over the last couple of decades.
In the hard rock era, yeah absolutely.
And like you said, if you go through their catalog, they've got so many other great songs than just the hits on their albums. Mm. Probably one of the most influential female-fronted bands, at least of the last 35, 40 years, in my opinion, is the Runaways. Of course, they started the career of Joan Jett and Lita Ford, two huge musicians, 2 huge female musicians of the 80s and 90s, did a bunch of great stuff, but their careers really started in the Runaways. Runaways only released 4 studio albums. I was only a fan really of the first 2, but what they did release is absolutely fantastic. Just a bunch of great music, and in a really interesting period. The late 70s, there were so many things going on music-wise that they did catch on in the mainstream, but I don't think they ever got as big as maybe they probably should have been.
Yeah, I don't really know the Runaways music that much. I mean, I know Lita Ford and Joan Jett, obviously, just because Joan Jett was a little bit more mainstream popularity-wise.
Yeah.
But I actually met Lita Ford.
Did you?
Yeah, she's pretty cool. She's at Motor City Nightmares.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
So my next one is another one that's kind of goes without saying. It's Fleetwood Mac. And you could arguably say that it's led by 2 women, because it's Stevie Nicks and Christy McVie.
Yeah.
I'm a Stevie Nicks guy because I think Stevie Nicks has one of those unique voices that kind of transcends being a female or male artist. Pat Benatar's another one like that. But Stevie Nicks' vocals are extremely unique, and it's always been a standout for me. And it's the only reason I really actually like Fleetwood Mac, to be honest with you.
Yeah, because the Fleetwood Mac albums that Stevie Nicks is not on, I'm not a big fan of.
Yeah, and I mean, they were just, it was too pop for the time, but her voice made it kind of stand out.
Absolutely.
I mean, not all of the songs that weren't her were that way, but the songs that she's on are the ones that, in my opinion, are the best of their catalog.
And maybe one of the more controversial female bands, at least of the 90s, has to be Hole. So, and their 2 albums in the 90s, Live Through This and Celebrity Skin, I think are unbelievably incredible albums. Of course, a lot of people out there think that Kurt Cobain had a lot to do with some of the writing on Live Through This, and I can kind of see where they get some of that from. It does have a very Nirvana-like writing style to some of those tracks, but she's the one that did them. She's the one that sang on them. They played all the instruments. It is a really good album. One of my favorite albums of the early part of the 90s, And they're just an incredible band. They've released 4 studio albums. I actually haven't listened to their last album. I think it came out in like 2010 maybe. But their first 3 albums are absolutely fantastic.
So my last one it's kind of weird because it's not a band that I love, but I do like their music. It's the Bengals. I mean, they were huge in the 80s. You can almost say they weren't a one-hit wonder, but they're kind of like maybe a 2-hit wonder.
They're
Manic Monday and Walk Like an Egyptian.
Yeah, I think they're one of those bands I think had better songs than those 2
probably,
songs,
and they do. There's no question. But for me, I had a huge crush on Susanna Hoffs, the lead singer, because she was just hot. Like before I was even old enough to have crushes, I had a crush on her.
Yeah.
And I don't know, just
that
I've liked the music I've heard of theirs, you know.
That I don't remember what was the name of that album. Was it I don't know. I've got it on vinyl. It's actually a really good album though. I think they're a band that I think gets kind of pigeonholed a little bit
or
because
just kind
of
they're kind of forgotten. They're
maybe people remember the 2 big hits that they have, but I think I've kind of largely forgotten about some of the other stuff that that they did on that at least on that one album. Or what else? I don't know what else they released. I guess I could have looked that up before we started recording.
Well, I'm on.
You're on the old Wikipedia.
I am on the Wikipedia.
Yeah, Different Light. That's the one I got on vinyl. It's the only album of theirs I've listened to all the way through. I think I've probably heard tracks off of a couple of their other albums, but that's the only one that I've ever listened to. It is a really good album, though. Well, that's all we got for you today, guys. Thanks for checking the show out. Make sure you drop us a comment down below. Let us know what some of your favorite female-fronted bands are, because there's a whole bunch of them. The Go-Go's another great one. What was some other ones we were coming up with?
Cranberries,
Garbage,
L7.
There's so many great ones out there. But let us know what you guys think. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give us the old thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. And that's all we got. Until next time.
Talk to y'all later.
Keep on spinning. Peace.